Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we want to really go over a topic that is super popular. It has a lot of demand. We get asked questions about this all the time. And so I figured that this video would hopefully point you in the right direction, give you as much value, and hopefully help you just create some momentum on your desk and for your business this year. So why don't we go ahead and get into it? If you guys are new here, welcome. My name is Preston Park. I'm a professional recruiter. I started as a recruiter at my first recruiting job a little over 10 years ago at an award-winning US recruitment company out of New York. Quickly became one of the top producers out of 300 recruiters nationwide, did over $500,000 billings on my desk. He crushed even over $100,000 per month. And then literally almost a year later, decided to kind of take the bet on myself. And I did the exact same thing, right? I started as a solo recruiter, did over $500,000 on my desk in the first year, done multiple 100Ks billings per month. And now we've done net multiple seven figures for our agency over the past decade. And now we're happily and excitedly continue to grow and scale our agencies where we engage with some of the best brands out there, but always very excited to talk about an industry business that completely changed my life. So I think as a good segue into the video, there isn't a best niche, right? We get asked this question all the time. And Preston, what's the best niche? Preston, what's the worst niche? And in my humble opinion, if you know how to properly engage and do B2B outreach, and you know how to do targeting and messaging and all of that, the best and worst niche conversation doesn't really matter. You can actually create and operate a profitable, successful business really in almost any market and sector. And the reason why I want to kind of put that word any in quotes is it really has to make sure like it validates a couple assumptions. But before I kind of get to that, a lot of people, what they tend to do, especially if they're coming to this business completely new, is you like to kind of ride the trends. Like, oh my God, AI is hot, let's just focus on that. Or healthcare is hot, let's focus on that. Absolutely, that works. But competition is astronomical. So you're competing against every other company on the planet doing literally the same thing. But also trends are not forever. And so even if it lasts now, it's not going to last forever. What happens if that trend slows down or stop? You're back to square one. So going back to my idea, it's more important on really understanding fundamentally, how do you go out there? How do you identify companies? How do you identify opportunities? How do you identify real people? How do you conduct effective outreach? How do you convert them into actual paying clients in any market? And this is foundational. So if you wake up one day, you're like, hey, I want to go after healthcare. I want to go after legal. I want to go after finance. I want to go after engineering. You can absolutely do that. But before we do that, the reason why, again, circling back to what I started with, any market, yes, technically that's true, but like you want to make sure that certain criteria are met, right? You got to make sure that there are assumptions, there are like important benchmarks before you conduct any sort of outreach or targeting, right? And so what do I mean by this? The basic assumptions are, for example, is the market big enough? Like if you're going super niche and too focused and there are no companies, perhaps there's only one company that's hiring in your niche, that might be a little bit too small. Is it active enough, right? Maybe there is a handful of companies in that niche, but maybe they're not hiring, or maybe they hire every 6 months. Is that too slow, right? Is the salary high enough? Like, is it commission only? Is it flat fee? Is it, 30K, 50K, or is it 100K or 400K, right? So you want to make sure that if you're going to put in that hard work, you want to make sure that you get a top dollar and you can create a living from it. And there's a handful of other assumptions that we like to do, but these are probably the most common ones. So I just want to first kind of really break that understanding and mold of people just always wanting to chase like the best niche. Like assuming that a lot of these basic assumptions are met, you can absolutely start and operate a successful business in really almost anything out there. But with that said, in this video, I want to talk about 5 additional lucrative niches that you can look into that are not the common AI software engineering that everyone talks about. I want to be able to kind of go a level deeper and really kind of share with you other niches that you might not even think about, further just validating the point I'm making on this slide that, hey, if the research makes sense, if the numbers make sense, we can actually start an amazing business in this space. So the first niche I want to talk about is school-based mental health. According to research, as you can see here, school-based mental health usage actually hit record highs in 2014, coming in 2015. Around 18% of students, they actually use on-campus services. Yet the US is really short tens of thousands of counselors and psychologists, creating a huge opportunity and demand for recruiters to fill that. Forecasts further show a national shortage of over 80,000 behavioral health providers by 2037. Rising teen anxiety, state funding, new teletherapy models make this a long-term growth sector. So we're not talking about just short-term trends, long-term consistent growth compounding year after year. So what are some of the pros of this sector? Well, some of the things that come to mind are repetitive annual hiring cycles, like summer, mid-year. It's not just like one time a year and that's it. You typically want to be engaging in a market that does at least 2, at least 3 or more throughout the year, so that you always have consistent activity instead of like hot for 1 or 2 quarters and then it just completely slows down. There's also like a high burnout. So unfortunately, that's a great thing, but it's also like not a great thing for people who are going through burnout. But I guess the silver lining for recruiters is that if people do burn out, they quit, they leave their job, and it just a lot more openings for recruiters to be able to kind of fill that and find great talent, right? It's also mission driven, right? You get high higher response rates. Like people really feel like as a psychologist or a counselor, like they're really helping these kids. They're really helping teenagers, younger adults to help them with their mental health, which is super important. Now, what about some of the cons for recruiters? Well, slower procurement. You're working with schools. They're not like your fast venture-backed startups. Typically have a lot more red tape, a slower, longer sales cycle, something to consider. There's also state-by-state licensing barriers. So obviously, if you find a psychologist in New York, you can't just place them in New Hampshire or Texas. Like they need to get like the licenses for that certain state. So unlike other searches in other sectors where it's easy to kind of target people in other places around the country, neighboring states, a lot more difficult to do here. Rates are also just very moderate versus private health. You go to private healthcare, the salaries become almost 2 to 5x higher, which results in 2 to 5x higher placement fees. So in terms of like basic strategy, you can think about maybe possibly pitching to charter networks, school districts, teletherapy vendors, really customizing your landing page or website or your outreach to frame your expertise, just that. You also maybe want to even think about offering a 69-day retained search around semester starts, perhaps maybe around July, September, December, January. Again, you're working with school systems. School systems have very predictable, concise starts, so obviously plan around that too, even though you can have a consistent year-round business. This slide basically kind of shows you some of the possible job titles that you could target in this niche. So school psychologist, 80 to 120K, you're looking at possibly $60,000 to $25,000. You got school counselors, 70 to 105,000, behavioral interventionist, 60 to 90K, telehealth therapist, 75 to 110K, behavior coordinator, 85 to 110. So as you can see, rule of thumb, like a lot of these are around the 100K or higher, which is something I love to see. And if you just kind of calculate a very straightforward 25% fee, you're looking at a consistent probably 15 to 25K placement, which is pretty solid, right? Especially if you start doing more volume per month. Real quick, if you ever thought about starting your own recruitment agency or you're a recruiter struggling to land clients, you'll want to check out our coaching and implementation program. Inside, I give you the exact scripts, the outreach templates, and acquisition systems I used to hit over $500,000 my first year, scale to over $100,000 months, and do over $5 million in placements on my own desk. Our students are already hitting $30,000, $50,000, even $80,000 per month or more. Many of them doing it part-time. So if you want to learn the same playbook, the link's below. It's exactly what I use. Now back to the video. The second thing I want to talk about is clean energy. So I think this is maybe something that you're probably more familiar with, but I think clean energy sector is something that we've also been watching very carefully. It's just been growing 17% year over year consistently. With 2025 job growth led by wind, you got solar, battery integrations. It's further forecast to 50-60% job growth in solar winds tech this decade. You got grid modernization, EV charging expansion, multiplied roles in field engineering. It's just a really exciting time to check this niche out. So what are some of the pros? You got government-backed projects. They ensure stability. So anytime you work with government, obviously it means a little bit slow, possibly like decision-making, red tape, bureaucratic, but stability is awesome. It's not like working with these startups that, hey, you work with them and maybe 6 months they're no longer around, right? Many contractors hire urgently during build phases, which is great because we want to work with clients that are desperate. They have extreme sense of urgency, and the environmental mission resonates with talent. Again, like people want to have meaningful jobs, and what's more meaningful than like environmental clean initiatives, right, on the planet that can really resonate with a lot of people. What about some of the cons? Well, remote sites, frequent travel, a lot of cans might not want to do that. So it might mean you might have to talk to a lot more cans to just be able to submit one. Weather dependent, obviously. So, if depending on state, depending on a crazy hurricane that's happening or storm, it might spike the search or difficulty in either way, right? So something that you want to be able to plan ahead. Certifications are also required, so you can't really just reach out to anyone. You have to really understand the right certifications, licenses needed, and find those people accordingly. In terms of like overall recruiting strategies, maybe think about targeting contractors, not just big developers, because it's not just contractors that are hiring clean energy. You also got the big developers too. And if you do that, more stable, more access to bigger jobs. You also want to maybe perhaps build like a certification tagged candidate database ready for travel, because that's typically one of the most needed group of talent in clean energy. And maybe you want to sell kind of on a per project retained or temp contracts. A lot of these aren't full-time W-2. They are contracts or project or time-based. So I think that's something that's worth noting to kind of pivot your strategy and frame your background. In terms of some of the salaries, as you can see, you got solar wind field tech up to 95K, electrical engineering up to 145K, commissioning manager 135K, project scheduler 120K, construction supervisor 140K. You're looking at roughly now probably $20,000 to $30,000 in potential placement fees. Getting higher, getting higher. The third thing I want to talk about is defense, right? So obviously with a lot of like new happenings and instability around the world geopolitically, US obviously defense budget just in this country alone has increased 12% minimum year over year, creating just a crazy talent talent demand exceeds supply by 2 to 3x. So the defense, specifically aerospace workforce, is also just waging out. So a lot of these people are going to go into retirement, creating more gaps, future opportunities in engineering and program management. So in terms of pros, some of the things that you can think about is the clearances needed. Not everyone can have them, right? And it takes time to get them. It creates some sort of moat, low competition. You have like a very clear, low, kind of small group of talent pool to kind of reach out to help your search become a lot more focused. You got high salaries, high retention, which is something we all want. We don't want to really have to deal with those guarantees upon placement. Dual use tech startups entering defense startup. It's also just the most exciting time in the defense world. You got Anduril, you got so many others, whether it's robotics or space, like a lot of new technology innovations happening literally right now. In terms of some of the cons, you can think about, obviously, because it's clearances and security vetting and clearance required, it's just a longer time to fill these roles, to have interviews, to do background checks and things like that. So it's really important to have multiple plates spinning in the air. So you're not just relying on just one. Ideally, you want to be able to maybe perhaps balance it out with a couple faster, shorter sales cycles, while these longer cycles are just moving forward. Typically, a lot of these contractors that work with defense obviously have vendor caps. So, no matter how good you are, if you're not on that list, you just have to kind of wait or do your best to get on another list of another contractor. It's very niched in terms of the talent, terminology, the lingo, the stacked technology, the hard skills required. So it does require some sort of upfront kind of ramp up time. But again, that's something that is required for any really sector that you do. In terms of like some strategies that you can think of, you want to maybe target tier 2 and dual use startups. So again, Shield AI, Anduril, Palantir, these companies are just doing really well and growing really fast. You want to perhaps, start building and having a database of clearance tagged, candidate list, SCIs, SCs, SCI plus people like that, position as a speed partner for subcontractors under hiring mandates. Obviously, people want to hire faster than sooner, and you can only go as fast as obviously the contractor relationship with the government and that specific roles processes. But again, some contractors do like to move fast and get these filled. And so it'd be wonderful and obviously optimal to identify them and create partnerships. So what about some of the roles? Systems engineers can go up to 175, software engineers go up to like 190, 200, program managers for defense can go up to 200, cybersecurity analysts 150, RF, EW engineers 180. You're now looking at almost like $25,000 to $40,000 fees. Another one is cold storage and food chain. So the global cold chain logistics market was $325 billion in 2024 and is forecasted to reach $800, $900 billion by 2032, way faster than general logistics. The US cold storage market alone is expected to be $46 billion in 2025 to about $100 billion by 2032. That means US operators will keep opening, expanding warehouses, replacing old facilities, which is all a good thing for recruiters. So in terms of recruiters, the growth, the CapEx cycles, new warehouses, construction, expansion is awesome. They need to hire and they need to hire fast. There are also multiple buyer types. You can work with 3PLs, logistic companies, grocers, distributors, REITs, logistic companies. There's so many different types of companies to be able to engage with here. In terms of some cons, maybe think about regional on-sites, harder to fill if you don't build by metro or if it's really in a location that is lacking with talent. Obviously, some of these roles require weekend operations. You have to kind of pre-qualify availability. A lot of people are simply just not going to want to do that. And occasional rate sensitivity for front lines. So like, again, things can happen all the time. Things can change all the time. Hiring, quit, pause, which could maybe drive you insane. So obviously, if you also hedge that and mitigate that by focusing on mid-management technical roles, that could also help. In terms of strategy, obviously building a database of cold storage ready databases. You want to tag the candidates by perhaps maybe the temperature experience that they worked in, perhaps food, farm, certifications, locations. This is all very, very, very important. And you can lead with this when reaching out to prospective clients. Call operators after expansions or new customer wins. When, for example, companies like Americold, Lineage, or local 3PL adds capacity, they often need 3 to 6 companies or roles at once. Like you want to pitch it as a mini project, short term. We're here as a partner. Do your job well, create that relationship, and off you go. In terms of salaries, cold storage managers go up to 135, warehouse automation 105, transportation 115, food safety managers 125, maintenance 120. Again, you're looking at solid placement fees. Looking at probably roughly now 20 to probably $25,000 to $30,000. Last but not least, if you are a lover of animals and pets, veterinary and pet health is booming as well. The US pet industry is projected to hit $157 billion in 2025, and vet care is one of the fastest growing pieces. US vet services were about $36.5 billion in 2024, going up to about $38 billion in 2025, and projected to about $68 billion by 2033. That's just healthy, steady, very agency-friendly, long-term stable growth. In terms of pros, chronic talent shortage, more pets than vets, so that just leads to just burnout and constant backfill, which is great cyclical constant demand throughout the year. There are many buyers and independents, multi-clinics, hospitals, mobile vets, retailers, pet hospitals, you name it, so much variety. In terms of the cons, it's really a candidate-driven market, so vets really are particular about schedules and pay and culture. Medicine purpose and philosophy. It's not just about the money. So even if you find someone, it might be difficult to place them, right? As they're very particular. Some clinics prefer signing bonuses to agency fees. So that's just another obstacle you're going to have to navigate. But typically from our experience, like that should be no problem, because we want to help you create a strategy where you can kind of constantly reach out to all these different amazing companies nationwide. So it's all about, putting in the reps, playing the numbers as well. And then of course, there are licenses in states. Not everyone can be veterinary. You have to also pay attention to local, state, county jurisdictions, certifications and regulations and things like that. It's not as easy pleasing someone from California to New York or Ohio to Maine. You want to make sure wherever you work, you got to pay attention to like what is needed in that city, in that state. So in terms of like general strategy, you want to maybe think about like targeting new clinic rollouts. Anytime a retailer or big shelter or chain announces 3 to 10 new locations, my God, that's amazing businesses. They don't have obviously a talent acquisition internal volume built. So like get in there and pitch yourself and create that relationship. In terms of salary, fantastic. Associate veterinarian for a small animal, looking at about $185,000. Medical directors can go up to $225,000. Vet practice managers go up to $120K. Registered vet tech, $80K. Specialty emergency vet up to $240,000. So again, you're looking for a whopping $25 to almost $35,000, $40,000 or more fees here, which, hey, if you love animals, you love pets, and this could be something that you can not only make a great living in, but you can also do good here as well, as there is a lot of opportunity. So I hope that this video helped you guys. There's a lot of amazing niches everywhere. If you want to see more videos like these, I also just like to talk about and look at niches that not everyone's talking about, right? Everyone's talking about engineering and AI and things like that. And while all that's great, I also just like to kind of look for opportunities that are just more low key, less competition, but just as much ROI in terms of effort that you put in, right? So if you want to see more of these videos, let me know. But I hope that this gives you some sort of jumping pad or leverage for you to be able to kind of start your business and go out there and get more niches. So appreciate it. We'll see you on next one.